the Power Forecast Briefing, where we recap recent events in U.S. power markets and what to look out for. This is also covered in the Market Intelligence Platform's Power Forecast subscription, which provides projections of electricity and capacity prices, along with financial and operational performance estimates for power assets. The next guidance report from the Power Forecast will be released in mid-October. During the first half of 2019, we've seen several new developments that may influence the balance of generating asset values. First, natural gas prices have fallen dramatically as natural gas supply has offset high levels of natural gas demand from the power generation sector. The overall effect of this change is to improve the competitiveness of natural gas power plants against green energy. Second, new generation projects are advancing to address reserve shortfalls in a few regions of the country, while other regions remain potentially short on generation. All of these projects are natural gas, indicating once again an improvement in value for gas-fired combined cycle and peaking generation. To be clear, more renewable energy than ever is being built across the country, mainly due to growing renewable portfolio standard targets. But as wind and solar begin to saturate key markets, their value proposition decreases, while their contribution to tight reserves is small. How does this play out in California? The California Public Utilities Commission recently concluded that the state may need as much as 2,000 megawatts of new capacity by 2021 to replace legacy capacity that is retiring. While some of this need may be met by a combination of renewables and storage, Market Intelligence projects that 600 megawatts of capacity from new gas peaking generation may be needed, and that further additions will be needed by 2024 to offset the planned retirement of the Diablo Canyon nuclear plant. Most likely, California utilities will need to procure this capacity by contracting with a merchant developer at rates higher than we see in CAISO's current resource adequacy markets. If you contrast this need for peaking generation with returns available to new solar facilities in California, new peaking generation is strongly favored. In this chart, we can see that solar has expanded so quickly in California that the additional value of new solar would barely cover its financing costs. Solar will be built in California, probably at rates between $30 and $60 per megawatt hour, but in the near term, California's reserve shortfall tilts the valuation balance toward gas peaking generation. Let's contrast this to the investment outlook in a region with higher reserve margins, PJM. PJM has continued to attract investment in gas-fired combined cycle generation due to access to very inexpensive natural gas and also retirements of coal-fired generation. So much new gas generation has been built that reserve margins are expected to remain high, even after all announced coal retires. The decline in natural gas prices puts pressure on the spark spreads for these plants, but returns are still adequate when considering regional capacity payments. However, the lower wholesale electricity price makes the economics of new renewable power look worse. Here is how wind looks in the region. Where at this time last year, the Market Intelligence forecast projected competitive returns for wind, here we see barely adequate returns. There are several RPS compliance markets for a wind plant to sell into, and in contrast to California, the market for renewable energy is not yet saturated, and therefore the expected renewable energy certificate revenue is stronger than we see in California. Otherwise, new wind projects could not be financed on a standalone basis. Electricity markets have been more supportive of conventional generation this year due to retiring capacity. At the same time, low wholesale electricity prices created by cheaper natural gas are chipping away at the value of new green generation. It may take further declines in the cost of new green generation, combined with a rally in electricity prices, to bring green generation back to the forefront. Thank you for joining us, and contact us with any questions about power forecast data.